E-ink is brilliant. It has a firm place for reading. It has a firm place for small, low-power solutions like digital labels and signage. And in the last 6 years or so, it's cemented a place for larger screened digital notebooks. And I'm a big fan. And in just the last year or so, colour e-ink has become good enough to take over some of the productivity space. And even Kobo, Kindle and Pocketbook, it seems, they're coming out with colour e-ink readers. So the world is really embracing colour e-ink. Can it also conquer the PC monitor world? This is my full review of the Bigme B251, and they've sent this to me as a loaner. Has to go back soon, unfortunately. It does also come as an all-in-one PC, but I've just got this running off my Windows PC today. Can it be fast enough and look good enough to use across multiple apps? Can it be enjoyable for working in web apps, office apps, word processing, and browsing? The answer is yes to all of the above, but with some caveats. The thing is, to justify that price tag, it'll have to be better than LCD or OLED at doing at least some of those. TLDR, this is really good for its main use case. The moment you need to read something on your desktop, just fire it across to your e-ink screen and you're away. I've tested RLCD, which is reflective LCD, in this space as well on my desk, and I can tell you that e-ink is better than RLCD for working with words. Whereas the RLCD panels, they're better if you need to do faster motion for the software that you use. But neither of them touch an LCD or OLED panel for graphics or video workflows. I have some monitor roundups where I compare those different technologies, which you can watch after this video. But having it here, as I have had for over 2 months now, as an additional monitor to a pair of LCD IPS monitors that I have on my desk here, it's more than just a nice to have. So yeah, I really like having it here on the desk. Most importantly, it gives your eyes those minutes of rest, and then you can be back to working on your big LCD monitors. And that's the big pain point that this thing solves: computer vision syndrome, or digital eye strain. If you're someone who ends your days working on your computer with bleary eyes and unable to concentrate, if you know that you have issues with LCD panels, then this monitor is a great solution. The thing is, you need to know that you fit that bill to make the benefits worth the cost. And new users, you should expect some getting used to it time. I have really enjoyed having it, but I find myself switching windows from it when I need to use mouse clicks, and deciding to switch to it when I'm reading or when I'm typing. So it won't simply slip right into your workflow without any learning curve. Now, firstly, let's talk about the screen modes. Video mode. So I'm going to show typing, scrolling, and video in each of the modes. You can fine-tune the modes, but I'm just going to show you them as they are. Picture mode. So starting with what should be the best quality but slowest refresh, which is picture mode. You can see it's really difficult to use the mouse in picture mode. And scrolling is not an enjoyable time because it's having to, although it's not refreshing the entire screen, it's having to refresh all of an image to move it. And you are still seeing some ghosting here as well. And video is simply not a possibility in picture mode. So that is really only useful when you need to just show a static image. But as you can see, just looking at one of my thumbnails, if I refresh that, it does look really quite good for static pictures. The next higher quality but a little bit faster refresh rate is text mode. You can see that's really quite good quality in terms of the way the text looks. You don't get much ghosting as you move things around, and it's fast enough to type. You can see it's not fast enough, however, to use the mouse really comfortably. And scrolling's okay, but it's not perfect. If you wanted to read an article online, this might be quite a good mode. You see the text is quite crisp on that. Video is just much too high contrast. Next up is web mode. And you can see it's a little bit faster, but we are getting a little bit more ghosting now. But also we're getting a little bit better color contrast compared to the video mode that we'll do in a moment. So this should be, and it is, the best mode for simply scrolling and using the web in general. So that's not bad at all. However, can you see we've really lost the quality compared to picture mode, web mode. And even this, the mouse still quite isn't fast enough to be a pleasure to use. Video mode. And lastly is video mode, and I find myself using video mode the most often as the mouse is most usable there. And even for typing, I do find the text mode is a little bit slower than is really comfortable to render each subsequent character. Text mode is better for reading, but the problem is that, as you can see, video mode gets pretty smeary pretty quickly. Video mode is the closest to being usable for video. So all of them are less than perfect, and all of them are a compromise. Personally, I think that they should really have taken advantage of the wired power supply here and do more of what they're actually doing on their tablets, where they have this auto clean mode, or what they're calling the X fast rapid refresh technology, where they can clean out the white space without doing a full refresh. Now that would probably have needed an onboard GPU within the monitor, or at least to have been controlled by the PC's processing power by USB maybe. But that's what it would take to get that white space always looking crystal clear. In any case, the smears aren't really deal breakers here, they're just mild inconvenience. And they are less apparent in web mode or text mode. But as you can see, there's really no point in expecting to watch video on here, or anything that really needs higher refresh rate than 15 frames per second, as that's the best that the e-ink panel can ever do. And whilst it is good that you get the choice of those modes and you get customization within them, you need to expect to be managing those modes. And as you've seen, you can change the modes using voice commands. Although why Bigme didn't include a voice command for refresh, I have no idea. And nor did they put one on the included remote control either. So when you do want to do that screen refresh, you have to reach across to the button on the side. There is no best mode, and I think that the panel can do better. I think that they can get a better halfway house between the image mode and the web mode. We see this, they can do this better in their e-ink tablets with similar technology screens. And I'd love to see them add a kind of balanced mode, an in-between mode in a firmware update. But the panel does also have warm and cold lights, which again you can control by voice command, or you can control that by remote. But it really does look better when it's either in a very well lit room, lit by a big window, or lit by an external light, like this one. Looks far better. And this is a lamp which is spilling light evenly across it. And that's much better. That's without now the front light on at all, and just with this lamp essentially lighting it. But you can see if I make this room pretty dark, it's not very evenly lit all the way across by the front lights. It's just quite difficult to do that at this size. And the lights that it has built in are front lights. They're actually mounted in front of the screen, so they fire across, reflect down into the screen and back out. So they aren't backlights, they're not pointed directly at you. It's nicer to use reflected light. So it looks just fine when we're using this lamp, but if I turn that off and now just turn the front light on, turn on the front light, you can see it's not looking really well evenly lit at this point. You can really see the edges there are better lit than the center of the screen. So that's the cold light as bright as it can go on its own. And that's with both lights right up now. And you can still see it's not very well evenly lit. And with just the warm light on. Now, I don't think that on its own would be a pleasant way to use a monitor at all. That's with them all the way off. But in the evenings, I run it with this light on there and it looks great. Maybe just adding in a touch of that front light. Now, it looks like you're getting a fair amount of glare on the screen during this video, but actually that's just this front light, which is making it look really good for me seeing here. So if you do go for it, expect to have to get some kind of external light like this. Now, it can also do screen rotation, and this is pretty cool. So it'll automatically sense that it's been rotated. And now this is really good if you're maybe someone who needs to write code, or you're someone who needs to edit long documents. although honestly I haven't rotated it very often. The thing is, this monitor cannot be your one and done monitor, unless you really just need a PC workstation for text only. But if you can afford the luxury of having multiple monitors and you do work with a lot of text, then I think this is great as a second or an even third monitor. Or maybe you're just looking for a space in your home office where you can dock your laptop with a nice keyboard and a nice mouse and have a pleasant typing station. It's great for that. I am really pleased with it, and this is the place where I most often choose to write now. Many times I turn off both of the LCD screens and I can just focus in on the piece of writing that I'm working on. And I really look forward to those writing sessions on the e-ink panel with the mechanical keyboard, so in that respect it's mission accomplished. Otherwise it's the screen that I use for my knowledge management system, or to show my reference documents whilst I work on graphics and video on the main screens, and it's great for that. Now I do have to send this monitor on to another reviewer now, and I'm sorry to see it go. Now initially when this came out of the box I was actually disappointed by the render quality, even of the text, and that really surprised me. And then a YouTube commenter told me that it was probably the Windows ClearType settings. Windows ClearType uses the subpixels to give you crisper looking text. You can essentially dim part of a pixel, either the R, the G or the B spot. So I ran that wizard, and sure enough, in all modes now, the text looks much better. I do think that there could have been more instruction from Bigme in getting the best out of the panel, as they'll have disappointed customers who they aren't aware of those settings to get the best out of the screen. And the thing that makes this the biggest challenge probably is if you're having to do things with the mouse. Video mode's the best for the mouse, but it's still pretty slow and a bit laggy. And it is a bit weird being slowed down by the mouse. But after a few days you get used to it, and you get to know what you can do and what you can't do on it. And you get to know when to fire a window across the screen and just work with the keyboard and keyboard shortcuts, and when to keep things on the main LCD screens. I've covered Bigme devices at length now, and they've worked really hard to improve their software experiences. I mentioned the mouse and the render quality in my early content on the screen, and Bigme then released an update which drastically improved the mouse speed and the text response across all the modes. So they've done really well there. They've responded really well and rapidly to the feedback I've given them on their product. Another community solution from the comments section was on PC you can install power toys, and one of those is a double tap the control button to highlight the mouse, which is really useful. So sometimes when you're thinking, gosh, where is that mouse? I can't see it because it's so slow. Quickly double tap it, you find it, and you can move it to wherever you want to be. But the biggest thing you need to know about this is that at heart you have an excellent e-ink panel. You've got kaleido free color e-ink at 25.3 inch. It's huge, and it's better than QHD resolution. So if you know that you enjoy e-ink and you want the experience of e-ink on your desktop PC or your Mac, then you will enjoy this screen. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Dasung and Books come up with for this great panel. I know Dasung already have a color at 25.3 inch, but Books, hopefully they'll bring one out soon. But Bigme have added some really nice touches here. That auto rotate and the voice commands, and I do like the idea of it being available as an all-in-one PC. So the ball's in your court, Books. But honestly, if Books don't come with either a screen mode which is good enough to live in all of the time, or some solution like the Bigme voice commands to change screen modes very quickly, I'm finding it hard to see how they're going to do better than this. It isn't cheap, and you can check out the latest price from the link below, but if it fits your needs, I think it's brilliant. That panel at this size is just lovely, and Bigme have done enough to make it a comfortable experience to use it daily. For me, it's been a valuable addition to my desk.